A friend said to me this week, we were just talking, and I said, how are you doing? And he said, I'm just not motivated to do anything. You know, you go through those periods where you're just not motivated to go to the gym, you're not motivated to go to work. And usually in those situations, whether it's a friend or an acquaintance or whatever, you kind of just agree and just become agreeable. And I thought to myself, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Do I go through periods of not being motivated for everything, whether gym, relationships, friendships, work, everything in my life? Do I go through periods? No, absolutely not. I don't go through periods. So I don't understand what you mean, because maybe as a child, you can wake up and think, I don't feel like going to practice, I don't feel like going to running, I don't feel like going to football. And that might be an hour or a day where you wake up, you may not have had so much sleep, and therefore you don't feel great. You don't feel 10 out of 10. But it's got to be so much more than do you feel motivated for gym, fitness, running, work. It's got to be so much more than that. It's got to be so much more powerful. It's got to be so much more powerful than motivation. It's got to be discipline. It's got to be, you've got to be the person that if you're feeling 5 out of 10 or 3 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, you still get it done. And that's what creates greatness. So no, do I know what it feels like to not feel motivated for everything in my life? Absolutely not, no. And it's not like I wake up in the morning and every single day I'm like, yeah, let's go, super. You obviously see a version of me on YouTube that it is pumped and it is excited and it is emotional and it is kind of passionate about topics. Of course you see that. But there's moments where I wake up and I've had 6 hours sleep. And so you get yourself into this mindset where you're thinking, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to write today off and I'm going to wake up tomorrow? I'm going to go back to sleep and wake up 4 hours later and then feel better about myself? Maybe that is the solution sometimes. But you're committed to your path. You're committed to progress and you're committed to becoming better in every aspect of your life. And maybe running is at the forefront of that right now, or maybe fitness is at the forefront. Maybe your career is taking a back step. I always want to be firing on all cylinders in all aspects of my life. And there's like 8 different areas where you kind of look at friendships, relationships, etc. And you can't be doing everything at once. You've got children to look after. You've got a wife or husband to go home to and kind of look after that relationship. You've got to go on dates. You've got to go on your other hobbies. You've got to kind of look at your investments and your financial situation. You've got a lot to look after. And maybe sometimes areas of your life get neglected. But not to say that you're not motivated. What you essentially need to do in those situations is go way back and say, right, okay, if I was a caveman and I lived in a cave and I've got to wake up and I either hunt today and eat and my family eats and therefore we survive, or I don't feel like going out hunting and therefore you do that 7 days on a row and you're dead essentially. So it's either kind of get up and hunt or be hunted or get killed. As simple as that. If you think very primitively like that, and sometimes you do like that. You know, I'll sometimes get to the start of a race and I'm like, training's not gone brilliantly. I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. I don't feel great this morning. I didn't sleep well last night. There was a party going on in the hotel. I'm not feeling, but what can I do to salvage a result today on the start line? You've got to think like that. And what I do in those situations is think, this may sound funny for you, but this is how I think. It's like if I was a gladiator in Roman times, and I'm thinking of the movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe, and that like depicts kind of what goes on. Do you get to the start of the whatever's going on in the Colosseum that day, and do you think, do you know what, my Achilles is a bit tight, and I don't really think about it, and therefore I'm going to sit this one out? You don't have a choice. You either go out there and kill, or you get killed. And I know that's taking it to the extreme, but if you're waking up, if you're kind of going through life week after week, month after month, and thinking, I don't really feel motivated at the moment, it's so weird and so pathetic that you got to switch that thinking. Otherwise, you're going to continue having those weeks and months, and it's going to run into years. And before you know it, you finished your 20s, and you finish your 30s, and before you know it, you don't have as much energy as you did in your 20s and 30s. And so you have to capture that. You have to catch yourself in the moment, and you have to say, who am I really? Who am I really? What is my identity? What do I want to be, and what am I right now? And how do I get to how do I get to where I want to be and who I want to be as quickly as possible? And it's all on habits, processes, and systems. If you've got that locked down, that you're the person that no matter what's going on in your life, you get to the gym. And even if you do 20 minutes, you've ticked that box, you've ticked the fitness box first thing in the morning. If you're the person who sets your kit out the night before, and so you wake up and go for a run first thing in the morning, you check that fitness box, and the likelihood is that 2 minutes that was setting your kit out the night before leads to the good habit in the morning, and then leads to a more productive person in the workplace, more creative, better to be around for your colleagues, better teammate. All those good things are all checked off because you decided to lay your kit out the night before to go to the gym or to go running or whatever it is. Fitness, for me, is the foundation of anything. I'm in a much better headspace if I check that box first thing in the morning and then I go from there and I look after everything else. But please don't tell me I don't feel motivated for anything in my life right now. I mean, if the only way that I can think that could be a legitimate excuse is if you've had a bereavement in the family. Somebody's died in the family and you feel sick to your back teeth. There's obviously periods in life that you've thrown a curveball and it knocks you completely off. But even in those situations, and this will sound insensitive, but it's true, even in those situations, you kind of have to have a few days, if not a couple of weeks. It's still gonna hurt, but you've got to get yourself back on track as quickly as possible. As quickly as possible. You've got to regain control and say, right, you know what, that's happened and it's awful, but where am I now and where do I want to be? Because it's not selfish, it's you, especially if you're a leader in your social circle or in your family, especially if you're the breadwinner, you have to get everything back on track. Otherwise, you're affecting other people's lives in your family. If you're a father, if you're a mother, and you say, I'm not motivated, I'm just not motivated for life right now, what message does that send to your children? It's insanity to actually think like that. Oh, do you know what, I just don't feel like it, and you get out of shape, and you don't really feel like it work-wise. What message does that send to the family, to your children who are looking up and thinking, all right, that's my hero. Like, how is she or he acting in these situations, day-to-day life? And that's what those children are gonna remember when they grow up, is what does my father look like? What does that man in society, in my family, look like? What does he act like? What does my mother look like? And what does she act like? What's she doing on a daily basis? And therefore, who do I want to be? And it's a massive impact. Everybody remembers what their parents were like, or the people that were looking after, what they were like and how they acted and what that looked like on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis. It's so important because you're sending a message to your children. You cannot go through days and weeks and I don't really feel motivated. Get it sorted out, because it literally is cancer. And if you don't fix it and nip it in the bud and realize that habits, systems and processes are going to catapult every aspect of your life, just build in and compound in, and then get into the person you want to be and the place you want to be in life as quickly as possible. You've got to make that happen. If you got anything from this, like and subscribe. I love the topic of kind of like changing the direction and becoming the person that you really want to be. So if there's anything I can do to help you, let me know in the comments below.